Coming to you from the Hart Building in historic downtown Marysville. Getting into all the dirt from the gridiron game, it's time to huddle up with your host, Adam Avalos.
Hey there, guys. Welcome to Huddle Up. This is episode 3. Thank you so much for joining us on 93Q. You could be anywhere, but you chose to be with us, so thank you. Guys, this is it. The first week of the NFL season is upon us. Thursday night, we got games. The preseason is over. Now they all start to count for real. What do you guys think? Are you pumped for the season?
Let's get it.
Yeah, let's get it.
Yeah. All right, and we got some Raider, Ohio State, Niners stuff. Got the Josh Allen jersey. We're going to be talking about Josh Allen a little bit. But we are going to dive right in to the very first game, an AFC Championship rematch Thursday night between Baltimore versus the Kansas City Chiefs, and a rematch of last year's AFC Championship game. Last year, these two teams met in the AFC Championship game. Lamar, we know, fresh off MVP trophy, could not beat the mighty Chiefs. Patrick Mahomes and the Chiefs ended up winning 17-10 on the road in Baltimore last year. Guys, this is a pretty cool game to start the season, right? I mean, two juggernauts. We all know Lamar Jackson seemed pretty poised last year to kind of beat anyone. He was seemingly unbeatable. He just tore up a lot of teams, including my Niners on Christmas. That was like, Christmas was good, and then Lamar Jackson came to town and just whooped us. But in typical Patrick Mahomes fashion, we talk about it a lot, the comparisons to Tom Brady. He would not be denied, and the Chiefs ended up stymieing that run. The unbeatable seeming Lamar Jackson could not get it done. What do you think about the Thursday night matchup, Kelly? What do you think about the Chiefs versus Ravens?
Man, I've been waiting all year for football, so they could have put Marysville High School on this. I just want to see football, but Baltimore, Kansas City, it's the start of the year, the first game of the season. It doesn't really mean much, though. The Chiefs lost to the Detroit Lions last year. They still won the Super Bowl. I think it means more for Baltimore than it does for the Chiefs. The Chiefs know they can win when the time is crucial. So when playoffs come, Chiefs are confident. They got Patrick Mahomes, so they're not too. But Baltimore with Lamar Jackson, this will be a great step in the right direction for them because they have troubles with Kansas City. So this could start their year off really well. The difference, though, between the Lions is the Lions and the Chiefs are never going to play unless it's a Super Bowl. So, exactly. This actually could be like a psyche thing that they could meet again in the AFC. And, like last year, the Chiefs got one over on them. So, I think you're right. For the Ravens, if they're able to win this game, it could come back and be of value to them later in the season, right? Yeah. So we talked about it last week, and we all kind of thought, a few of us thought, that Joe Burrow could potentially be a guy that could, get in the way of Patrick Mahomes seemingly winning every year in the AFC. Do you think Lamar Jackson, he was an MVP last year, but wasn't able to get it done over them. He was running through people. Do you think that Lamar Jackson could potentially be a guy that could, stop the Chiefs from time to time in the playoffs, Ryan?
Yeah, I think so. I really do. Lamar Jackson, MVP last year. The team got better. Got a running game behind Lamar Jackson, so he's not the only runner now. He's got a dominant running back coming out. Yeah, he's 30 years old, but I'm with Kelly over here. KC, they don't have a lot to lose. Baltimore has a lot to win. Last time, Kansas City, last year they lost a game. It ended up being a contender. Not a big deal, but last time they lost to a contender week one was back in 2018 against New England. Since then, they've won their first game only because they've been playing teams that have not contenders. They're going off, and they're going to be placing the number one contender from AFC last year. I think the only favorite they have right now is I think the spread was 3 points. That's a home field advantage. That's all that is. This is a deadlock right here, and it's going to be a great game to open the NFL season. Yeah,
Lamar Jackson, obviously, a lot of his game is with his feet, he was doing that last year. Do you think he has to? Are the Ravens, are they going to be able to step up and kind of give him some more support? Not that they were terrible last year, like you said. Now they got Derrick Henry, who's amazing. But does Lamar Jackson, does he have to be that good all the time, or can the Ravens win football games, and specifically in this game, win this game if Lamar Jackson isn't running all over the place?
I think it's a pretty big part of the game. Obviously, his legs, he's been running around and pretty much one of the most dominant runners in the game. Maybe Jalen Hurts could be compared to him, but I think that is a key part of the game. I think to Ryan's point, having Derrick Henry behind that line is probably the best running back they've had over there. At least since I've been watching for many years now.
Yeah.
So I think
let's not say probably though. Okay. Definitely the best.
He's definitely.
No doubt.
But now you got two people to worry about running the game, right?
Yeah.
Up the gut or around the corner. You got that option now that can work really well with a running quarterback. So now you can't just spy the quarterback like you have been in the past.
Well, my worry about him last year was I thought, he can beat anybody, but he's going to have to do it consistently for like 3 weeks in a row, 4 weeks in a row if he wants to win the Super Bowl. And he didn't have that piece, like something that they could always rely on. Now with Derrick Henry, they got something that even if they're keying in on Lamar, they can just keep pounding the rock, right, Kelly?
That's one of the negative things about Lamar Jackson. The running game is good during the season. In the playoffs, you get a little tighter. So, I just think the Chiefs could care less. If they lose this game, they could still go and win the last 17 games,
Yeah. So you guys don't think the game's too important? Kelly doesn't think the game's too important this week. You guys think it's important?
I think every game is important.
Yeah, me too.
I really do, but I see Kelly's point. I really do.
Yeah.
I mean, Kansas City lost the game last year. By 1 point, everyone freaked out. Oh, the Lions beat them.
Yeah.
Granted, the Lions went on and, made a run for things, but Kansas City was still there. They lost, I think, 6 games last year. They're still there. They still knew how to win. They still knew how to put a game plan together in the playoffs. That's where it's going to meet. If they lose this game and, in 4 months they miss the playoffs by 1 game, okay, then we can talk.
Yeah. No, for sure. Let's talk a little bit about the Chiefs. A lot of we're talking about Lamar Jackson.
I don't want to anymore.
We're like,
done.
I know.
No more Chiefs.
We're like, who can beat Patrick Mahomes and the Chiefs? So, Patrick Mahomes, Travis Kelce. There were some rumors last year that Travis Kelce was like thinking about maybe retiring. All the guys when they get up in age, they like to talk about that. But he said his body was hurting, and and there were times to me when I saw him play, and I don't know, he just didn't seem the same. Obviously, he made plays in the Super Bowl through the playoffs that made it happen, but it seemed like it was a lot more effort required from him. What do you think? Do you guys see a big season from Kelce, Keegan, or do you see a little bit of a decline there?
I kind of felt like when I watched him last year, I think we chatted a little bit about it as well. I kind of felt like he was short a step, if I'm honest.
Yeah.
He didn't really seem that quick. He still has that ability, it seems, to sort of get into space. And, seemingly he'll get into space. Mahomes just puts the ball on him. I don't know coming into this season what we're really going to see from him. We might see a decline. They obviously have Worthy who'll stretch the field, so maybe that'll open up some opportunities, kind of like Ryan said last week. So
I think he was jet lagged. Too many Swifty tours. It was hard to keep. You got to before you got her locked in. You got to travel. You got to do some stuff.
Yeah. The Swift stuff. Sometimes I wonder if that is even going to kind of be an issue. I mean, he's been this is his first off season where he's probably not 100% focused on football like he normally is.
Did you see
he's dating Taylor Swift?
Did you see the report a couple days ago saying that Patrick Mahomes came out and said that Taylor Swift's drawing up plays now for them? No lie.
I don't know. What did you guys think last season when it was constantly they were showing her in the box all the time? Were you guys into it, or I mean, not you guys were into it. None of us, I don't think, listened to Taylor Swift. But were you guys did you get it, because so many people like her, or was it irritating seeing her on the screen so much?
I got a subject my wife was talking about. She was saying Travis Kelce was more popular because he's with Taylor Swift.
Yeah.
And I'm like, I didn't even know who she was until she started dating Travis Kelce.
Yeah.
So
hey, the NFL liked it.
Yeah,
I think she generated $300 million for Kansas City by arriving at the games, or some ridiculous amount of money.
Yeah. No, it was crazy. Before we get off the topic, all right, so the game predictions, not a score or anything, but who do you think wins, Keegan?
I think the Chiefs.
Chiefs, right? Ravens?
Chiefs.
Really? Doesn't matter for them, but they're going to win. I'm going to go with the Ravens. I think they got something to prove. I think Lamar Jackson will be running all over the place. But we are going to get into the preseason is officially over. So, guys, the preseason has came and gone. Watched a lot of preseason games. What was one thing that you saw, Ryan, that you thought, man, this is pretty cool? This guy could be hot. This team could be hot from the preseason.
Honestly, when I looked over this question that we were looking at, I didn't really go that route. I went with preseason's over, and what I realized after this season was the wide receivers are big divas. I mean, we've been talking about it, but
Yeah.
geez, we've had 6 wide receivers sign an extension during the year. I mean, these are guys that were on contracts already, and they've all signed over $30 million this offseason.
Yeah.
These guys are making way too much money, and I thought that was like one of the center points of this offseason, this whole preseason, for me.
Yeah,
I wasn't really looking at a player or watching that. To me, preseason, I don't really tend to tune in too much because it's a lot of the second, third stringers that are trying to make the team.
Yeah,
for the most part.
I think like other seasons, it was like, you get a guy, maybe 2, that's signing a deal. This year, so many wide receivers got huge deals. For me, it feels like when we watch, like those guys better produce. What do you think, Kelly? I mean, and then we'll get into your preseason thing, but wide receivers got paid this offseason.
That's exactly what I wrote down here. Let's see what Brandon Ayuk does. You got $30 million, right? Come on, man.
Yeah.
I mean, they claim he's the number 1 receiver there. I think Debo is, but he stretches the field, so that's good, right? But as far as preseason goes, there's a guy named Tajay Sharp. I drafted him after watching him in the preseason.
Yeah.
He had like 3 catches the whole year, so
Yeah.
I don't take anything.
This is why I don't watch.
Yeah.
This is why I don't watch the HBO show Hard Knocks, because then I fall in love with somebody.
Yes.
Yeah, no, for sure. Preseason could be kind of helpful if you're playing fantasy football to find those deep sleepers, but it is hard to evaluate talent just because, like, sometimes the 1s are playing the 2s or the 3s and this and that. But Keegan, what do you think? Preseason, it's over. We're about to get into regular games, but what is one thing that you saw from the preseason or learned that you'll kind of take with you here?
Well, kind of like Ryan, I didn't go quite with that direction because I agree with him. I don't really see a lot of value from watching the preseason. I kind of think they play a lot of games with guys who are kind of fringe players. I mean, how many of those guys do you really think are going to make that roster come the end of the season? I mean, how many spots are we talking about there?
Yeah, 53.
So, no, for sure. But I mean, like, how many of those guys are actively going for those spots?
Yeah.
They've had their training. They already know who they want.
Yeah.
This is just kind of the last little bits.
Yeah.
But for me, what I really am interested in is Jim Harbaugh to the Chargers. So when you look at the Chargers the last few years, Ryan, they're obviously in your division, so you've seen quite a bit of them playing. They've 24 and 24 with Brandon Staley, 50% win rate. They've played well at times, but at times they really just struggle with decision making, with ill discipline. They get a coach. The lowest point was in 2022, where they lost that game to the Jaguars when they were leading 27-0, and they ended up losing at 31-30. But Jim Harbaugh record, just to go over it quickly, with the University of San Diego, 29-6, Stanford 29-21, Michigan 86-25, and actually in 2023 they tied for the fewest penalties per game, which was 27.5 penalty yards.
Yeah.
So we've got him coming off there, and then obviously he was with the Niners, 44-19. He went with them. He's known for playing with discipline and precision. He's obviously played quarterback. He's worked with quarterbacks, so he has Herbert over there who he can develop. The Niners, when he went over and took over in 2011, they hadn't been to the playoffs since 2002.
Yeah.
And they haven't had a winning season since then as well. So in 2011, when he went over, they thought it all was going to be a rebuilding season, but they ended up going 13-3 and ended up in the NFC Championship. So I could very well see something like that for the Chargers, who do have talented players, albeit the receiving core looks maybe a little bit slim this season.
Yeah.
I think the offense in general looks kind of slim. I mean, like you're saying, I've watched a lot of them, and I want to say I think every starter in the receiver spots and running back spots are gone.
Yeah.
Right now, they all went off into another team, and Harbaugh came in. He does have a quarterback, though.
I'm excited about the Chargers. I think we all are. Harbaugh is definitely going to infuse some life in there. In that division, it's going to be a little tougher than it was last year when you're playing the Chargers. We are going to go to commercial break. Thank you for joining us on Huddle Up 93Q. Come back. I'm Adam Avalos with eXp Realty. I'm a born and raised third-generation Yuba Sutter resident who has lived in the area all my life. My office is located at 1429 Calusa Highway in Yuba City, providing commercial and residential services to Yuba Sutter and Butte counties. Whether you are buying or selling, I promise to treat you and your friends and family like my friends and family. More information about Adam Avalos Realtor can be obtained by phone at 530-933-3541 or by following Adam Avalos Realtor on Instagram or Facebook.
When you arrive at Bullard's Bar Reservoir, at first glance, you probably just see a lake, a beautiful lake, but it's so much more than that. It's a source of power, clean, carbon-free hydropower for when the wind isn't blowing and the sun isn't shining right here in Yuba County. Hydropower that supports our state's power needs, creates quality local jobs, and provides an incredible recreation destination. So head up to Bullard's Bar. There's a lot more to it that you just can't see on the surface. Learn how we're powering a brighter future at yubawater.org.
All right, guys, welcome back to the show. We are going to get into the meat or this is potatoes part. That's what I always think, the meat and potatoes part. This is the part of the show we want to get into the juiciest topics.
I reckon the meat then.
All right, the meat. All right, yeah, you're probably right, homie. You have potatoes and the meat. That's the part that sustains you.
That sells the dish.
Yeah, exactly.
Side dish.
We have got a Josh Allen mini jersey in studio.
Thank you, Caleb.
Thank you, Caleb. That's Ryan's son. He
Thank you
likes
for
Josh
not
Allen.
making me wear it.
Yeah, exactly. We're gonna see after the show if Gary can fit into this jersey. But we have a mini jersey here, Josh Allen, and that's the topic right now. Josh, ESPN recently did a list where they polled 103 players, and surprisingly, Josh Allen was chosen as the most overrated quarterback in the league. One anonymous player who voted for Allen cited ball security as the reason for his vote, saying too many turnovers. The list in order was Allen as the most overrated quarterback in the NFL. Hurts and Tua were tied for second, followed up by Justin Herbert in fourth and Trevor Lawrence in fifth place. Allen's response, they asked him, he did a press conference. So my reaction is that I'm not mad that 11 players not on my team don't like me, right? I actually think it's a term of endearment. When other players don't like me, that means I'm doing something right. I am, however, never invited to participate in these anonymous surveys. I want to be part of these surveys too and give my input as well. So a little bit of humor. I thought he handled it really, really well myself. It gave me a chuckle, his response. But we can talk about the list in general and who you guys think is overrated, underrated. We're going to get to that in a little second. But let's strictly keep it to Josh Allen right now. He was voted number one. Do you think this is an instance of guys just kind of hating on Josh Allen? Or do you think genuinely some players believe when they watch Josh Allen play that he is the number one most overrated quarterback in the NFL? What do you think, Kelly?
So I was watching.
Number one most overrated quarterback in the NFL.
I was
There's
watching
30 of them, and he's the most overrated.
I was watching on the 4-letter station, and they were talking about Josh Allen's Super Bowl window is closed. I'm like, what? He's 28 years old. Give me a break, right? So, yes, the turnovers. He had 102 turnovers since 2018, right?
Ooh.
Hey, they trying.
But guess what? Who do you think's the best quarterback right now in the NFL?
Well, Patrick Mahomes.
Thank you. He has 24 more touchdowns in the last 5 years than Patrick Mahomes.
Yeah.
So the guy is good. He's a good quarterback, right? He's had less of the talent that Patrick Mahomes had around him. So he does have to try, to fit the ball in there. If it's 3rd and 15 or whatever they're after, he's going to have to try a little harder to help his team get to the first downs or whatever. But you got quarterbacks like Hurts, Burrow, Jackson, Rodgers, Dak. I mean, these guys are the ones. Those guys are overrated. Like Hurts, he can't figure out the blitz, So he has problems with teams that blitz him. Burrow's always hurt. Jackson chokes in the playoffs. Rodgers is just old, right? I mean, I don't really like Rodgers, but anyway. And Dak's another guy. He's scared when it comes to the playoffs.
He's on the Cowboys.
So, yeah. Well,
I always feel whenever the playoffs start, not right now. I mean, every stadium is beautiful and the grass is all green and the conditions are nice. But I always feel when the playoffs starts and Buffalo has a game and it's like a snowstorm, I always feel like they're so lucky to have Josh Allen. Like guys are just not free agents are gonna just sign there. Exactly. They drafted him. Allen's 2023 stat line: 4,306 passing yards, 29 TDs, 524 rushing. That was 4th in passing yards and 5th in touchdowns in the league. On the flip side, he was tied for 2nd in interceptions with 18 and 5th for fumbles with 5. Obviously, he has a little bit of an issue turning the ball over. You hear that throughout the year. Guys talk about that a little bit, but I think he more than makes up for it in his productivity. Those were kind of dead in the water last year. The Bills themselves were kind of dead in the water last year until he turned it on. I mean, they were kind of lucky to get in, and nobody wanted to face them that first week. I promise you that. He doesn't have the most amazing cast around him, in my opinion. Are turnovers really a good enough reason to even put him on the list at all? Should he even be on the list 4th, 5th?
No. He's also in the same survey was ranked 4th best overall quarterback. 4th best. Yeah. So, but he's most overrated. He also, I loved his response because he was voted number 1 for the most trash talking. So here you got it.
People don't like him.
That's why people don't like him. There's the reason he was overrated. This is a guy that had tied first for most rushing touchdowns last year, 15 with Jalen Hurts. There's a quarterback. Quarterback had the most rushing. I mean, come on.
And the way Hurts did it wasn't the most
Exactly. Well, yeah, Hurts got the little push.
Yeah.
But here's a couple things I thought was interesting for me, and why he's overrated is beyond me. Since he's been in the league, he's only been injured once for 4 games. Other than that, he's played every single game. He's the first player to record 40 or more total touchdowns in 4 straight seasons. He's the only guy to hold that record. This guy's a touchdown machine. If he's not a Bills, the Bills are not relevant if he's not there.
Yeah.
This is ridiculous to think he's overrated.
It's the reason why he's the number 1 quarterback in fantasy.
Yep.
Yeah. Mm-hmm. I have a feeling that your answer is going to be similar here, Keegan. But do you ever kind of feel bad though for Josh Allen? He just signed a deal a few years ago, and they're probably not likely getting they lost Diggs this offseason.
Yeah.
How are they going to get more help? I mean, it is going to be hard for him to win a Super Bowl all by himself.
100%
What do you
agree.
think, Keegan? You think he's not overrated?
No, not at all.
Of course.
I agree with the guys that I don't think he's overrated at all. I think he's done some very impressive things. Obviously, the cast this season isn't really the best. He lost Gabe Davis. He lost Stephon Diggs.
Yeah.
I do like Dalton Kincaid. I think that he could form a connection with them, maybe like an Andrews and Lamar Jackson sort of connection, or Kelsey Mahomes. I mean, Mahomes has shown us that he hasn't always had the best cast himself, but somehow he's found a way to win. So I wouldn't necessarily just write him off because he doesn't have maybe the deepest wide receiving core around.
Sure. Yeah.
Real quick, 1929 Yankees, who held the home run record?
Oh my gosh, 1921.
We're talking baseball
1929. Now? Just real quick. Just watch.
Lou Gehrig?
Babe Ruth.
Okay.
Who had the most strikeouts?
Babe Ruth.
Babe Ruth.
Yeah, you can swing for the fences.
Mahomes is doing the same thing.
Yeah.
Or not Mahomes.
Allen.
Allen.
Yeah, but he just said Mahomes, Mahomes throws his share of picks,
Here's my thing, John. The other thing about his supporting cast that we talked about, we did talk about Gabe Davis, Diggs is gone. Here, it's not Josh Allen's fault though. That's mis poor management of contracts over there. They were so far over the salary cap, they had to do casualties this year. They have to get under that salary cap. They were the worst team with the highest salary cap before they had to start trimming those contracts.
Sounds
they
like
lost
the
players
Niners
because
next
yeah.
Man.
Yeah, I was thinking the same thing.
I like that little dig, but I guarantee the reason. Don't you think the reason for that is they got to overpay? Nobody wants to come play there.
Right.
It's Buffalo.
Cold.
If you're that's probably one of the last places you just want to play. If all of them are there, and you're maybe Green Bay too, but
I
even
think Buffalo might be worse.
But yeah, because Green Bay has like a history to it, and it's you're playing in Lambeau every week.
Right.
The Buffalo fan base is great too. I know that, but
Bills Mafia.
Yeah. But the Green Bay people, they live right.
Well, the town owns them.
Yeah.
My brother's a Green Bay fan.
Bottom line, Josh Allen, if you're watching right now, or if somebody just tag Josh Allen on something, there is a show here where 5 people, if you include Gary, think that you are not overrated. You're an awesome quarterback. You shouldn't even have been on that list. Bunch of haters. That's what
honestly, it's funny. It's been his whole career. I mean, this is a guy that came out of high school and couldn't even get a contract where he wanted to play at Fresno State, and went to Wyoming just because they were the only D1 college. Then he goes to Wyoming, he tears it up, and they won't even really look at him as a freaking to draft him. And then finally gets enough stock.
Hey, before we go on though, okay, there's a lot of guys that trash talk, right?
Yeah.
He must be saying some stuff. You know what I mean? Like when he's in there, he must be
running them over.
Yeah.
I mean, to be a bigger trash talker than Aaron Rodgers, who's like all over commercials about discount double check, I own Chicago.
But guys seem to like him, like overall. Like he's like one of the dudes, you know.
But Kelly.
Yeah, Kelly
doesn't like him.
Well, Kelly likes him. Aaron Rodgers.
Oh, I just think he's overrated.
Don't backtrack.
No, I think he's overrated.
All right, before we move on with this, I had an awesome question. I wanted to know who you guys think is the most underrated. Wait. Before we go on, if you guys want to say who you think is the most overrated, I'm going to say who I think. I think the most overrated is oh my gosh, quarterback Trevor Lawrence. I think Trevor Lawrence is the most overrated quarterback in the NFL. Watched him play many times. They just signed him to a huge deal. I don't really. Anybody else want to chime in on who they think is most overrated?
Kirk Cousins.
Kirk Cousins. Fair enough. Ryan, you got anybody that comes to mind?
Off the top of my head, I wasn't really thinking that. I like the Trevor Lawrence.
Yeah, every year. Last year, like Trevor Lawrence for MVP. I watched him play like a few games last year, and there was just not a lot that impressed me. And then they give him a huge deal. Anybody, Keegan?
Yeah, no one's really coming to mind at the moment. But I must say, Trevor Lawrence kind of came in as the generational talent, which, I mean, we're getting them every single season, it seems. But that was, quite a big one to hold over his head.
Well, I know you guys do have underrated, so I'll shoot it back to you, Keegan. Who do you think is the most underrated quarterback? Keegan, we want to hear from you, man. Oh, I love your takes. A most underrated quarterback in the league right now, Keegan.
All right, so you're going to hear a little bit of convergence here with Ryan and myself.
I know, these guys were whispering back. I think we got the same guy.
Yes, we did. Jared Goff. So, I mean, he kind of strikes me as a solid but yet unspectacular player. I mean, he's a 3-time Pro Bowler, 2017, 2018, 2022. Career passer rating of 93.6. Postseason record is fair, 4-4, including obviously last year's NFC Championship. I just think he's got a solid line. He's producing what he needs to produce. I don't think that he's really considered to be one of the better quarterbacks in the league, but I mean, he's producing.
And he's been to as many Super Bowls as Rodgers.
He's not bad. He definitely doesn't deserve whatever the hate he was getting in when he played for the Rams. I wanted to call him St. Louis Rams, but Ryan, sounds like you guys got the same person. But tell us why you think Goff most underrated quarterback in the NFL.
This guy's got traded for Matt Stafford. Matt Stafford takes the Rams to the Super Bowl, turns around, and Jared Goff has taken the Lions out of, postseason forever, right? He's brought him out. He's made him relive. Overall QB rating of 93.6% in his seasons. Has never thrown when he plays the whole season. Has never been less than 3,800 yards throwing. Yeah, this guy can sling it. This guy is quiet. He's over there. He's doing his job, and he's not making any problems. He's sitting there just producing.
He's got he's got a cast around him too, and they got a heck of a head coach. That guy, gosh, watching one of those videos get you fired up. You know what I mean? Yeah. Dan Campbell, he'll get you fired up.
Would you want to go against him?
No, yeah, he was a beast. Even his mic'd up stuff. He was a tight end, right? Dan Campbell. I think he was a tight end.
I believe so. Yeah,
he played for the Lions. But anyways, man,
looks like a D lineman.
That guy is an awesome coach. Sometimes you're just like, man, that's a good coach. But Kelly, most underrated quarterback in the NFL.
I would say Brock Purdy.
All right, I like that.
And the only reason why, because
earning some brownie points
too early.
I hate when they say the offense, the talent around them. Come on, there's many quarterbacks that have a lot of good talent around them, and they can't get out of the wild card round. So Purdy, I think if he hadn't got hurt that year when he hurt his shoulder, they would have won the Super Bowl that year. Yeah. So last year, they were right there,
Purdy is probably because, the algorithms, they just shove me Niner stuff all the time. But it seems to me like he is the most polarizing quarterback in the NFL. There's some people, I think, that give him his flowers. But then there's a lot of guys that think he's like garbage. And I know he's not garbage. You know what I mean?
They're saying he's a game manager, but I think he makes good decisions. And his arm is strong enough that he can make those crucial throws. So
Yeah, no, yeah. I like the Purdy one. Gosh darn, I can't argue with that. But
It's all right.
I also had Jared Goff though.
Wow, all right,
There
3
we
for
go.
Jared Goff.
There we go.
He definitely didn't buckle last year. I see a lot of people like their predictions for the playoffs have a lot of people are high on the Packers this year because like Jordan Love or whatever. But I see more people leaving the Packers off thinking they'll return to earth, and I'm the same way. I think the Packers don't have that great of a season this year. I think they're around like a little over 500, but I think the Lions, they're like somebody, in the NFC that I'm worried about. They don't regress this year. They're tough. Like I like the Lions.
Yeah.
My guy though, I've been picking them to be really, really tough to beat, and I think he's super underrated. I don't hear him talked about enough, but is Matthew Stafford. I don't have all the stats here. I just know what I see when I watch him play. I've seen him for a long time play, and last year losing like Cooper Kupp and some guys like that, like Matthew Stafford didn't have all the guys at his disposal. Even Kyron Williams kind of came on the scene. They're going to have Puka Nacua this year, and Matthew Stafford is a guy to me that he is like one of the best quarterbacks in the NFL on any given Sunday. He's absolutely not high enough on quarterback rankings.
I agree with you, but that's the even more reason why I picked Jared Goff. Because that trade was not for Jared Goff. That trade was for Matthew Stafford coming from the Lions. He put up points like crazy out there in Detroit, and the Rams go take their number 1 pick from 5 years ago and say, you know what? We need Stafford because he'll win the Super Bowl for us. We need him, and that's why I picked Jared Goff because they threw him off to Detroit.
Yeah,
go die. Yeah, and he did it. He did it.
Yeah, he didn't need to step up, but he did.
That's why I chose him over Stafford.
You can choose, though. For your franchise, you can have Stafford or Goff. Who do you take, Keegan?
Stafford.
Stafford.
Yeah.
Stafford,
yeah. I know. He's so freaking
You win.
good. No. I don't know. I don't mean to be like a homer for Matthew Stafford. I think the guy's incredibly talented in his Detroit days. I mean, he definitely had Calvin Johnson, but they didn't have a lot around him. And I think they are going to dominate. I think they're going to decimate teams this year. I think they're going to score plus 40 in at least 5 games this season. I think their offense is going to be like almost unstoppable. It's going to be a shootout when you play them.
So you taking him number 1 on Wednesday?
Number 1?
Yeah.
Matthew Stafford. No. I'm the number 1 pick. We could when we get to the fantasy thing, I'll kind of tell you what I'm leaning on. But
you like the guy.
Yeah.
Take him.
No, I like Matthew Stafford, but I'm not taking him number 1 in fantasy football. I just think he's
40 plus points.
Yeah, really
look like
good.
a lot of points at him.
Let's get into some most intriguing matchups. We got a few minutes before we kind of get out of here. Most intriguing matchups of the week. Kelly, give me a matchup that you're really excited about. This is
Texans and the Colts.
Texans and the Colts.
You got 2 exciting quarterbacks. Richardson. I want to see what he does. He got hurt after 4 games last year, but he was exciting. And, of course, my boy C.J. Stroud, the Buckeye, man.
Yeah.
I think he is going to turn it up this year even more than his, offensive rookie of the year season. Yeah. And I think he gets the Texans at least to the AFC Championship game.
Ooh, really? Ooh. All right, so no Lamar, and I'm guessing you think maybe, I don't want to get you too far ahead with like predictions, but you think the Chiefs are there too? This isn't the Chiefs' year?
I don't see the Chiefs three-peating.
Really?
I wouldn't bet against them.
Hard task.
Yeah.
Hard task.
I'm not betting
And
against
you got
Mahomes.
Burrow, and you got Josh Allen might be there.
I just can't see the Chiefs three-peating.
No. I think I might agree too. Ryan, let's go with you. Most intriguing matchup this week.
You're gonna hate me. I want to see the Monday night game.
Yeah,
I want to see the Jets and the Niners.
That's what I
hate to say this. I think the Jets win.
Ooh.
That might be true. We got a few minutes left. Keegan, what do you think? Matchup you're looking forward to, you think is the best matchup week 1? Besides, obviously, Thursday night. We'll leave that one out. We talked about that one.
So I'm not sure if it's the best matchup, but it's one I'm kind of curious to see how it goes. We have Green Bay versus the Eagles, first game in Brazil. Mm-hmm. It's a primetime game.
That's a good one.
It's our first look at Jordan Love now with his big contract.
Yep.
They've got a few of the exciting young receivers. Reed, Dobbs, Wicks. They've got Josh Jacobs. Obviously, he didn't have a very good season last season, but 2022 led the NFL in rush yards. So are we going to see him kind of revitalized in a new team?
No.
Or is he going to look washed up? Well, let's see. I mean, I like him. I think he can do good things over there. I think he's going to have a lot of opportunities. Then we have the Eagles coming off kind of a disappointing season last season. They don't have Kelsey anymore. But they do have Saquon. Saquon playing with the best line he's ever played with. I'm kind of curious to see how that looks. So that's my
quarterback too.
Yep. I agree with Ryan. Obviously, I'm looking forward to see what the Jets and the Niners do. I think that's going to be a marquee matchup on Monday night. I think we're going to see a lot of rust early. There's a lot of Aaron Rodgers. I think Ayuk, he's going to be rusty. You know, a lot of the Niners didn't play, but I think you're going to be hard pressed to find a matchup in the NFL period all season with more star power on the field.
Exactly.
Like the Jets and the Niners, like. Those are the two teams, like, if me and you are going to play Madden, we just choose them because they're, like mathematically the best. You know, they might not win. But, it's crazy the amount of guys, up and down the roster. It's insane.
You taking the Niners? Because I'm taking the Chiefs.
You're taking the Chiefs?
We're playing Madden.
Maybe so. Yeah, the Chiefs got our number. I tend to agree with Ryan. I don't think these first week games tend to mean a whole lot as far as later on down. But I do think that probably the Jets have the momentum, especially if the Niners can't get Trent Williams. It's going to be tough.
One of the reasons I lean towards the Jets right now is there's less drama over there. There's less drama.
Yeah.
Niners got too much distractions with the Ayuk for 3.5 weeks drama and then no contract still with Trent Williams.
Yeah, I do think first half is sloppy, and then the second half of that game we start to see guys find their groove, and Aaron Rodgers maybe with his
the Jets their head coach wants to beat you.
Yeah, Solo. Well, everybody wants to beat Shanahan. You got a lot of coaches that. But anyways, we're going to go to commercial break. Huddle Up, 93Q. Please come back for the last part.
With World Radio News, I'm Kent Covington. Israeli Prime Minister Benjamin Netanyahu is vowing that Hamas will pay the price for its actions after 6 more hostages were found dead in Gaza.
The fact that Hamas is continuing to perpetuate atrocities like those it carried out on October 7th requires us to do everything so that it will be unable to perpetuate these atrocities again.
Thousands of Israelis surged into the streets over the weekend in an outpouring of grief and anger, many of them urging the Israeli government to reach a ceasefire deal to bring the remaining captives home. Many other Israelis, however, say the pressure should be applied not to the government, but rather to Hamas. Influential GOP Congressman Jim Jordan is speaking out in response to recent remarks by Mark Zuckerberg, the CEO of Meta, which owns Facebook and Instagram. Zuckerberg said the Biden administration pressured his company to censor COVID-19 content during the 2020 presidential election. Jordan says Congress has a responsibility to protect First Amendment rights.
Your right to speak, which I argue is the most important liberty we have. Because if you can't speak, you can't practice your faith, you can't share your faith, you don't have a free press.
Zuckerberg told lawmakers last week that he's planning to fight any pressure to censor on his social media platforms in this election season. California officials say a juvenile suspect is behind bars after allegedly shooting San Francisco 49ers wide receiver Ricky Pearsall in the chest during an attempted robbery. San Francisco Police Chief William Scott.
A struggle between Mr. Pearsall and the suspect ensued, and the suspect's gunfire from the suspect's gun struck both Mr. Pearsall and the subject.
The 23-year-old Pearsall was listed in fair condition at a local hospital on Sunday. At one very unique church in Portugal, members worship on the waves.
We share the same passion. We are in the same place.
Pastor Samuel Cianelli says the Surf Church was established in the city of Porto as an innovative way to spread the gospel.
When I'm surfing and I'm in the ocean and I see a wave, I can see God and I can relate to God when I'm in the ocean. And surfers, they think the same.
The beachfront church has grown from a few families to a diverse group of attendees representing more than a dozen nationalities. Ulyana Yarova, whose family fled the war in Ukraine, was recently baptized in the same waves the church members surf.
It's like more like joy, just more presence of God.
With the motto, "We love waves, we love Jesus," their leaders hope to plant many more surf churches. For World Radio, I'm Kent Covington. For more sound journalism grounded in facts and biblical truth, visit WNG.org.
Additional support comes from Dordt University. Dort's new MBA degree assists with making wise strategic decisions while shaping business in God-glorifying ways. More at dort.edu/MBA.
Here comes your local weather forecast from community-supported 93Q. Tonight, our skies will be clear with a low around 59 and with a southeast wind at 5 miles an hour. Then sunny and warm tomorrow with a high near 97 and a northwest wind at around 6 miles an hour. And Wednesday will be sunny and hot with a high near 102. Seasonable temperatures are forecast for most of the week. Our afternoons will warm to above 100 tomorrow through Friday, with Thursday being the hottest day this week, topping out at 103. And our nights will hover around the upper 60s. Another system is expected at the end of the week, which could result in a gradual cooling trend. This weather forecast is sponsored by Yuba Water Agency at yubawater.org, educating young students about fish and the Yuba River watershed. For 93Q Community Radio, I'm Kurt Baird. Thanks for your support and have a good evening.
All right, guys, last 15 minutes of the show. Thank you so much. You're tuned in to Huddle Up on 93Q. Really enjoyed my time here today with the guys. As always, we always have a lot of fun. But we are going to dig into the conclusion of the Brandon Ayuk saga. The Brandon Ayuk saga, wide receiver for the 49ers, came to what I would call an anticlimactic end. I mean, took like almost all summer here. The 49ers wide receiver signed a 4-year, $120 million contract, $76 million guaranteed last Thursday, which keeps the wide receiver with the team through 2028. This was a very long and drawn out process from both sides. Apparently, they were both dug in deep from the get-go. Even more recently, I thought this one was more painful than the Debo or the Nick Bosa thing. Didn't really love the way that it played out. What do you guys think about how this played out in the end? They sure cut it close for this Jets game. We were just talking about that. What do you think, Kelly, like the way that it all went down?
It shows me that the Niners are all in for this season. They knew without Ayuk, they were not going to make a deep run into the playoffs. So they had to put the money out there. I don't know if they need to put that much money, but that was the wide receiver market.
Yeah.
They needed Ayuk because he stretches the field for them. Yeah. Without him, Debo's not as effective.
Yeah.
And McCaffrey, the whole offense, right? So having Ayuk signed is good for the Niners, and it just shows you that they're putting this season ahead of next season, because now next season, who knows who's going to be there, because they're going to have to pay Purdy, and it's going to get ugly.
It seems like the Niners were playing hardball with him a little bit, and maybe that I was kind of hoping personally that they just kind of forced him to play out the rest of this year, and then next year kind of see what happened. I think they drafted Ricky Pearsall. That's another reason, which makes me think that they had kind of some plans to either play hardball with him or potentially just trade him, because in the draft, I don't think anybody thought they were going to draft a wide receiver with the first pick in the draft, and they got Pearsall, who now got shot, by the way, which was totally crazy. He got shot, which is totally insane, and he's not playing. But even before he got shot, he had some shoulder stuff, and then they kind of reluctantly signed Ayuk. What do you think, Ryan?
I'm just happy this contract's done. This was like that knock-knock joke about the banana, and then the orange comes up and ends it finally. This has been horrible, guys.
Yeah.
This deal that he took was been on the table since August 10th.
Yeah.
And what hardball we play? I don't think he wanted to practice, to be honest with you. I don't know. This is a guy that's never been a first-team All-Pro or a Pro Bowler, and we just paid him top six money.
Would Chris call him a pigskin pterodactyl?
That's what Chris would say, pigskin pterodactyl. And we are reading those comments, Chris.
So you didn't like it. It was even as a Raider fan, it was irritating to you that it took
way
so
irritating.
long. Yeah,
my thing is, the winner of this deal, believe it or not, is not even on the Niners. T. Higgins is loving his life right now. If Ayuk just signed this deal, T. Higgins has identical stats, and he's franchise tagged at $21.8 million this year. So he's sitting back looking at Cincinnati, and the worst thing about it, He's a third option in Cincinnati's offense for the most part.
Yeah, no, I know.
And we paid the supposedly number one receiver, and the Niners got paid the third option money. That's crazy, dude.
Yeah, we've sat here every week and we've kind of talked about the wide receivers. You're right. This has been the summer of wide receivers getting paid, but yet all the general managers just keep doing it. We all think they're overpaid, but then Keegan had a great point last week, one that I didn't really think about, like with Jamar Chase, is that you draft a guy, he becomes like a homegrown talent for you, and then you think, oh, I can just draft another one. But he brought up a good point, like it could be years before you do get another one. And so I totally understand wanting to keep him, but we all think they're overpaid, but these guys just keep paying for him. What do you think about the way that it played out, Keegan?
I agree with the guys. I think it was really stretched out. I got tired of hearing about it as well. Obviously, that deal was on the table for a while. He reportedly refused more money from the Patriots and Browns. Mm-hmm. So clearly he wanted to stay with the team, but obviously he was just trying to get a little bit more out of them. It didn't quite come out. He's left it quite late. I don't know how I feel about him coming in. He's going to be quite rusty, I would imagine. Maybe it's a few games before he shakes it, but I mean, overall, I think he's good for the team.
Yeah, I think so too. Like Ryan said, it appeared that he eventually took a deal that was already offered to him at one point. I'm personally glad the Niners signed him one way or another, just because I think he fits the system. I think in a few years from now, even though that number is like crazy right now, he's the fifth highest paid. They locked him up for a few years, and in 4 years, his contract will be like down there. He'll be like 15th or 20th, and it'll just that's just weird that it is like that. Yeah, I agree that wide receivers all over are rejoicing when somebody like Ayuk, who's probably not really a top 5 wide receiver in the NFL, gets top 5 money. But how do you think, what does this change your opinion of like Brandon Ayuk as a person? I mean, going out there and getting the money. What do you think, Kelly?
No, I mean, it's business, you know, just like as you get older in any sport and the team has gotten, look at Klay Thompson in basketball, right? So he's won them championships and everything, and then they didn't want to pay him the money they wanted. They should have just gave him the money for, 3 championships he won? Or help them to bring, or 4?
Yeah, no, 4 Golden State Warriors,
4. So I think this is the reason why a lot of these receivers are getting their money, because in football, you can go out there any game and it can be your last. So
yeah,
100%.
Yeah.
The contract's not, I mean, we're seeing the numbers right now, 76 million guaranteed, 30 million average. It actually helped the Niners out. It freed up $8.5 million this year for salary cap space. Yeah. Going into the season, they're sitting around just under 30 million salary cap spot. That's great for them going into the Brock Purdy negotiations. I mean, it really did free up some money. This is a very end-loaded contract. A lot of guaranteed up front, but a lot of the money, he's making like $1.5 million this year salary with a lot of incentives. Next year's like 1.7 or something like that. It's very end loaded, and really it set the team up. It is a win-win for both of them. Ayuk gets his generational money that he wants. Niners lock him in and free up space to hopefully sign Purdy, who is their future.
I like the signing for the long term, because I tend to think that they had Jimmy Garoppolo and some other quarterbacks like that. Even Lance, they didn't know what he was going to do, but their offense was going to look different. But Brock Purdy seems like the type of quarterback that you want to surround with more prototypical wide receivers that run routes and gets open. He's going through the reads and stuff like that. So it was good for that, I thought. How much do you think the Pearsall thing played into them finally being whatever Ayuk kind of wants, let's just give it to him more?
Well, Pearsall being injured?
Yeah, Pearsall, and for people who don't know, Pearsall, he obviously got shot the other day, but they signed him before that. Yeah. He's got some shoulder stuff. Apparently the Niners knew about that when they drafted him, but still felt like he was a gamer. You can watch some cool highlight tapes of him, but it was a surprise to everybody when they drafted him. Sure. How much do you think the Pearsall injuries played into the Niners kind of, moving off the position they had?
I don't think that they ever. I think it was always the intention to sign Ayuk. I just think they wanted to try and find a number that worked. And like Kelly said, it's a business. They want to try and look after the cap on their side. Ayuk wants his money because, like Kelly said as well, I mean, it could be his last day. His first game could be his last game ever. So
they tried to trade him though, but they couldn't get back who they wanted for him.
Right.
So
I'd still think, like you said, you guys, he wanted the money, but he's wanting money that he hasn't. I mean, 1 year he's really produced. 1 year he produced. Last year was his best year. He hasn't even made a Pro Bowl.
I think the thing about Ayuk, though, is he plays on a very star-studded team.
Yeah.
And if you watch the game film on him, route running wise, I feel like he's one of the best in the NFL. He doesn't have the size, but he puts guys in a blender. Like he like top flight cornerbacks, he sauces them up, and he just doesn't always get the ball. But I will say I'm a little bit bummed because I think that this move signifies probably the end for Deebo Samuel after this year. It's going to be hard to keep them both. And man, I just can't. Deebo's one of those guys that he probably will gradually like decline over the years, but he'll always like a few times a season. He'll have one of them Deebo games for whoever he plays with. And it's going to be really weird seeing him in a different uniform. And I think this move definitely kind of seals his fate after this season.
He goes into like a beast mode type.
Yeah.
He's clearly, based on contracts, the number 2 receiver now.
Yeah. No, of course. He makes like 22, 23. And then
give me Deebo.
Really? Yeah. He just can't. He can't separate. But I'll tell you what, one of the coolest talk smack and back it up moments was last year when he played the Eagles, man. Like, because you talk smack no matter what, even if you're confident, it's always kind of nerve-wracking because you're like, man, I talked a bunch, now I got to go in there and back it up. And he totally torched the Eagles last year. He did. Deebo is one of my favorite players. I personally would rather have Ayuk, but that's just me. Trent Williams, I like Ayuk, man. I like him. I watch him.
Hey, he's a local boy.
Yeah, I like
from Rockland.
Yeah, absolutely.
Ayuk?
Yeah, he is. All right, they still haven't signed Trent Williams. Is that a huge problem?
That's what I was saying. They need to get him signed.
He is signed. He has 3 years left. It's just no more guaranteed money. That's why he's holding out.
But he's like the number 4th paid tackle.
But he's signed. He has 3 more years on his contract.
Yeah.
There's just no more guaranteed money.
Right.
That's the thing is he's fighting for guaranteed money right now. That's why he's sitting out. So technically he is signed.
Yeah.
He's just not showing up.
They just have no negotiating power with him. Like, he could retire. He's so rich. He can assume the fines that they're going to give him. And we need him to not be super rusty. But what do you think, Keegan?
Yeah, I think that's a big one. I think he's a massive part of that team and keeping, obviously, he's protecting Brock Purdy. He's giving lanes to McCaffrey. It's, I think we really need him happy.
Yeah, I hope they can get him. All right, 30 seconds or less, everybody. We're running out of time. It's been a wonderful show, by the way. I love the stuff that we talked about. I love these guys. Thank you guys for being here every single week. We have a lot of fun even when we're not doing the show because we're texting each other and stuff. We're doing a lot of stuff that we can't put on air, to be honest with you. Stuff that I wouldn't want my mom to know. Like we're texting about,
We are texting each other, but then we got, our compadre that was here last week talking on Facebook.
Oh, yeah, absolutely. Yeah, exactly. But love the cast of guys. 30 seconds or less, fantasy football sleepers. Kelly, let's start with you. Big fantasy football guy. Fan Fu is the tag. Sleepers.
I'm surrounded by Niners and Raiders. Gave Niners a little bit. I'm going to give you some, man.
All right.
Zamir White.
I love him.
Ooh. He's a bell cow running back. I got him in 3 fantasy leagues, 7th round, 8th round, 9th round. Everybody just kept making me draft him. So
Zamir White.
Keep an eye on him.
I like that. All right, Ryan, who do you got?
Cam Akers. Back up to Joe Mixon. He outdid Damian Pierce in the preseason. Yes, he's coming off 2 Achilles injuries, but Mixon goes down. He's going to be running it. He's looked good in preseason.
Keegan, fantasy sleeper. Who you got?
So I've got Josh Palmer, who looks to be the number 1 receiver over at the Chargers. He's obviously got a good quarterback. If Herbert plays, obviously we're worried about his injury, but he's the number 1. He looked decent with his opportunities last year. This could be a year for him to step up a little bit.
I don't know how deep it is or whatever, but I just feel like, and maybe it's this is my own division. I'm a little bit worried about these guys, but I think
do not say Matthew Stafford.
No, I don't think Matthew Stafford. No. Matthew Stafford, not a sleeper. Kyler Murray. I think Kyler Murray. He's got a lot of weapons around him. Marvin Harrison Jr. They got some good running game. I just think Kyler Murray. He obviously is going to score fantasy points no matter what. I could see him easily finishing top 10. I mean, if he stays healthy, he runs.
That's what I was wondering.
What's that?
Number 1 pick on
No. All right. So before we finish the show, I thought a lot about this. We play in a 2 quarterback league, so quarterbacks are very tantalizing to pick. I can't do it. I just need to have him on my team. Last year I had the number 1 pick, and I did pick a quarterback. I picked Josh Allen last year. I liked the pick. It worked out for me because Joe Burrow got hurt. I'm going with Christian McCaffrey. He's on the front cover of Madden. I know the Madden curse. I just don't care. It's more about I can't let anybody else have him. I got the number 1 pick, Christian McCaffrey. You're mine. Whoever's number 2, you can lock and load, get it ready to go. Christian McCaffrey, he's on my team this year. What do you think, Kelly?
I think a lot of in the 2 quarterback leagues I've been in, everyone's going away from doing the 2 quarterbacks, the first 2 picks. So I think that's an excellent pick. And you can get your quarterbacks later.
Mm-hmm. Yeah. Christian McCaffrey, you guys like the pick? Who are you? Where are you at?
I was 3. That was going to be my guy if he fell.
All right.
No matter what.
I think you have to go McCaffrey.
All right. So you guys know the cat's out of the bag. You can start figuring out who's number 2.
Jason.
What's he going to do? It's Jason. Okay.
Jason's QB
in our fantasy football league.
He's going Mahomes.
Good luck in your guys' fantasy football league. Thank you so much for joining us. Episode 3. We'll be back here Monday when the Niners and the Jets play. We'll be here for the first half, and then after that, we're going to run home and catch the second half. Thank you so much. Huddle Up 93Q.
Jason, CD Lamb.
CD Lamb. All right, number 2. That's what he's telling you. I'd like that. But thank you so much. 93Q Huddle Up. Join us next week. See ya.